Alrighty, let's take a look at this question. So we have a bunch of exponents, and we're going to start by considering bedmass. So first you look at within the brackets, and within those brackets, nothing really to do because there's no powers with the same base, so we can't put those together. And so then we're moving on to the E in bedmass, so exponents. Now we have two outside exponents, meaning two exponents that are outside of brackets. Now those exponents apply to everything that's inside the brackets only, nothing else. So we would apply the 3 to the -2, and the exponent on -2 is just a 1. So we would, when you have an exponent of an exponent like this, we multiply the exponents. So 1 times 3 would be 3. Now, notice I kept the -2 in brackets. That's because the negative was also inside the brackets. So the 3 has to apply to the negative as well. If we just write it like -2, 3, the 3 only applies to whatever it's next to, which would only be the 2 in this case, not the negative. Alrighty, so keep the negatives in brackets. Alright, then the x has an exponent of 1, so we would again multiply the exponents, 1 times 3, so now x cubed. Y, and the x had an exponent of 2, we multiply the exponents, 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, now that, all of that is multiplied by xz, and I'm just going to, actually, we don't really need the brackets. If we just write that stuff next to each other, it basically means multiply. So we'll just write it like that. All right, now the denominator. So the negative out front is not inside the brackets. So therefore that squared on the brackets does not apply to that negative. And let's actually write it as -1 just to make things simpler later. Okay, now the 6 has an exponent of 1, so we put an exponent of 2, so 1 times 2. So now it's 6 to the exponent of 2. X, same idea, x to the exponent of 2. Y, 5 times 2 would be 10. And then for Z, 3 times 2 is 6. Alrighty, now let's see what we need to do next. How about we simplify those numbers? So see those numbers, -2 cubed and the 6 squared. Let's write those as actual numbers instead of powers. So -2 cubed would be -2 times -2 times -2. So negative times negative times negative will turn out to be negative, and 2 times 2 times 2 will be 8. So that becomes -8. Oh, we can do some work here too. I'm just noticing we could multiply x cubed times x basically to the 1. And the rule when you multiply powers is you would add the exponents. So that would become x to the 3 plus 1, so 4. And then y does not have any other, there's no other y's there, so that stays y to the 6. And z. And I'm going to put z to the 1 just so that we know it has an exponent as well. All right, now in the denominator we have -1, and that's going to be multiplied by 6 squared. And 6 squared is 6 times 6, which is 36, not 12. And then we have still x squared, y to the 10, z to the 6. Okay. And let's multiply that -1 times 36 together. So that would end up being -36, but we have to write the numerator down again, even though we're not doing anything with it. And notice that I'm working downwards. That is kind of the proper way to do this. You start like here, and then each step you work down. And when you run out of room, you just take it back up to the top and work downwards again. Okay, now we are going to divide. So we would divide the numbers. Now, negative divided by negative, we know is going to be a positive. So we know our answer is going to be positive. 8 divided by 36. Doesn't obviously divide, but maybe we could reduce it. So 8 over 36, if we divide each one by 2, we'll start with that. We would get 4 over 18, and if we divide by 2 again, we would get 2 over 9. All right, so now we have 2 over 9. And then, oh, and we can write it like that, or we can put the x on top like we've been doing. Go like that. Now we're going to divide the x's. You want to divide things that have the same base. So when we divide powers, we subtract the exponents. So the 4 minus 2 on the x would become a 2. And then for y to the 6, y divided by y to the 10, we subtract the exponents. So 6 minus 10 would be negative 4. And the z has a 1 on it. 1 minus 6 is going to be negative 5. Okay, now the only thing to do is clean it up with the negative exponents. The 2 over 9 is going to stay where it is, nothing happening there. X squared will stay where it is because it doesn't have a negative exponent, it has a positive 2 exponent. But if we move this y to the negative 4 to the denominator, the exponent can change to a positive. And same thing with the z. And that would be our final answer. And there we go. I hope that helped.